Hello. Lots of red bricks, lots of rain. Where else could I be? But of course, Manchester. Specifically the constituency of Manchester, Gorton and Denton, where we are looking at one of the most important by-elections in a very long time. It's a three-way race, so we're told, between Labour, the Greens and Reform. Right now it's a Labour seat, although Labour have to have this by-election because one Andrew Gwynn, who won in 2024, has now left the scene. He's put it down to health reasons, but it's actually because of some really naughty WhatsApp messages, which included, by the way, calling me Aaron Bastani. Anyway, this is going to be a massive referendum, frankly, on Keir Starmer's premiership. Reform, the Greens and Labour all think they stand a chance. It's a three-way, even though Labour got more than 50% of the vote in the last general election. Reform and the Greens got more than 10%, and so did the Workers' Party of Great Britain. So there's really a story here of fragmentation. Even if Reform came second or the Greens came second, for either party, that would represent a huge breakthrough. I want to talk to lots of canvassers, lots of campaigners, maybe even the candidates too, about their views on what happens next. And like I say, this is a big, big deal. Yes, it's important for Starmer. Yes, it could be a major inflection point for Labour in government and them getting the boot. But for me, the bigger deal, in a way, is the arrival on the scene of two new mass parties in British politics, Reform and the Greens.
Why do you think you're going to win it? Because from Labour's point of view, yes, they're nationally unpopular, but they have an incredible machine here. They've had local government dominance for decades. They've got a ton of MPs. They've got a ton of data. They've got the most popular Labour politician in the country right now. Not hard, I know, with Andy Burnham. So if they lose here, I mean, they can kind of lose anywhere, can't they?
Well, a Labour advisor was reported saying if Reform win, that's bad for them. But if the Green Party win, that's existential. I don't think it's hyperbole to say it's a battle for the soul of our nation. Like, this by-election will be one of the most important turning points, I think, of this Parliament.
Have you met Matt Goodwin on the campaign trail yet, or ever?
No, I haven't seen him knocking about around here. In fact, I don't think anyone's really seen him at all until the last few weeks. He's not, he's not from around here. He's kind of been bussed in, hasn't he? Because they saw it as winnable.
How does he strike you as a candidate? Politically, the things he says, are they going to work with a part of the constituency here?
No, I don't think at all. I think he said some absolutely appalling things. He said some very racist things. He doesn't understand the communities that live here. It's a really diverse constituency. There's a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. But the thing that we all have in common with each other is like, we muddle along with each other, and I think they've really misjudged a place. Like, they kept coming here and saying like Denton's the place where we've got it in the bag, and I'll tell you for free that is not the case at all. Knocking on people's doors here, people are seeing through it, and they're seeing someone who has been bussed in. Like, he wants the career opportunity. I don't see anything genuine that he wants to change here. He just wants to further his own platform. He just wants to become more well known, and I'm the opposite. I can't get over people recognising me in Morrison's. Like, I can't. That's not something I ever wanted to sign up to. I've given a lot and I've sacrificed a lot because I'm doing it because I really, really care. And I think when you're against someone like him, it's clear as day. Like, there's just a massive difference between the two of us. And I think they've really, really misjudged the mood here, and they've misjudged the feeling of people who live here.
If you wanted to design in a lab something to stop Reform, you'd probably design Hannah Spencer. And I don't want to dehumanise her in that way. She's an incredible person, and that's what matters. But also the story of a white working class woman who is based in this community, who they have put a right-wing talking head who literally works for GB News. You're like, that's the battle where I fancy our chances.
I don't think there's any reason for them to think that they should do well here. I think they've made an assumption about people who live here. They've assumed that the politics they're offering is the thing that's going to appeal to people. And I know, because this is much more like my background, it's much more like the place I've lived. I live down the road here, and I know that white working class communities, especially in Greater Manchester, really care about each other. And so I think their divisive politics in a place where, when we've had horrendous things like the Manchester terror attacks, like where we have stuck together, they just don't know that that's happening because they don't know the area very well, and they assume that white working class communities don't care about each other. It is time for change, and I'll say now that change can't come quick enough.
What makes this constituency really interesting in one particular way is boundary changes. You've basically got the town of Denton bolted onto Gorton, which is, more South Manchester. Behind me is Moore's Hat Factory. Maybe you can see the chimney stack there. Denton used to be the hat capital of England. It used to have more than 30 factories here producing hats. Why is that pertinent? Well, this constituency is quite new. Boundary changes put Gorton and Denton together, and they're quite different in some ways. And that explains why you now have three political parties who all believe they have a shot. Manchester Gorton used to be one of the safest constituencies in the country for Labour. Denton slightly changes that. But still, in the last general election, Labour got more than 50% of the vote. At the same time, you get the Greens, you get Reform, and you get the Workers' Party of Great Britain, all getting more than 10%, all getting double digits. Which explains why all three of those parties now think they stand a chance of winning. Why all three think they're going to be competitive. Because you have two somewhat different places bolted together. And while Reform think they stand a better chance here in Denton, the Greens and Labour are fighting it out in other parts of the constituency.
I'm the chairman of the Recon Reform and the Shropshire County Organiser.
Do you think you've got a strong chance here in this constituency?
Definitely. I think it's ours to lose. In fact, I don't think we will. I think this is going to be taken by Reform by some margin.
From people on the doorstep, although we're leafleting, people have come out and said, yes, I'm voting Reform, or I voted Labour, but I'm going to give my vote to Reform. I've only had one person who said, no, I'm not voting for you, and I haven't come across anyone say I'm voting for Green.
Are you a mass membership party now? You're now the biggest party by membership in the country, and it feels like it's a story that the London media isn't particularly interested in. I mean, it's a huge deal, right? Are there lots of you, basically?
Yes, there are. I mean, in our area, Shropshire, we've got over 1,000 members. We don't have the infrastructure that perhaps the Labour or the Conservative parties have built up over a century, but we are learning and growing fast.
So I joined about 2 weeks ago, maybe a little bit, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And to be honest, all my family are voting Reform. And I've never been a member of a party before. So this is my first sort of go at it. I've never sort of campaigned or canvassed before either. But I just think the country needs to change, to be honest. No one's very happy with Labour at all. And obviously the Conservatives are the one that mainly broke Britain as well over the past 14 years. But I don't see Labour doing anything to improve it or make anything better for people, if not making it worse. And I think Britain does need reform.
The sooner we have change in this country, actual real change, the better.
What does that look like? Who is it?
I don't know. Do you know something? It's normal people. Normal people standing and doing these jobs. All these career politicians need ridding. And it's just normal working people like me, like you, like anybody that's running a business, whatever.
But the Greens here in this constituency, their candidate is a plumber.
Yeah.
Now, I suspect you're not a big fan of the Greens, or maybe you are.
To be fair,
she would say many of the.
If she wants to have a talk, great. I know one or two Green people. They're sound, but not a lot of them are.
What's the issue that you really care about that you would love to see the government address?
I think they need to solve this mass migration problem. I really do. And I think they keep going on about how they've had the record deportations. But that's only the people that have overstayed and the people that they've paid loads to leave. Well, not loads, but like they're paid to leave. The actual illegals coming in and the ones living in the hotels, there's not much progress on that at all. So I don't think they're doing as much as they could be at all.
Who would you like to see being PM?
PM?
Yeah, Prime Minister.
Rupert Lowe.
There's a question that's often asked about new Premier League signings, especially if they're from overseas, especially if they cost lots of money. They may score a hat-trick on the opening game of the season, but can they do it on a cold winter's night in Stoke? Which is to say, really, the substance of the Premier League, is it for them? Now, I kind of feel the same way about political parties. It's one thing to have the social media graphics. It's another thing to have all the members joining, all the money, all the minutes on BBC Newsnight, the appearances on Question Time. That's all good. But can you get canvassers in a by-election out into terraced housing like this, red brick terraced housing in Manchester, can you get those guys, when it's cold and raining, to knock on people's doors? And in the case of Reform, guess what? You can. I have seen so many Reform canvassers here today. Some local, some not. Just saw a group of people, very cheerful, happy to talk, but not on camera, from Oldham. Tons of them, Reform members, canvassing. It really brings home to see them canvassing like this, that this is a mass party. It really underscores the reality of the Reform coalition. Yes, it has millionaire backing. Yes, it has a section of the elite behind it. Yes, it has strong relations to right-wing media, GB News, for instance. But it's also a party of the popular classes, as the Labour Party's meant to be, by the way. And I think that's a real challenge to people on the left. Again, whatever the result in this by-election is, lots of people go to an area and canvassing it for a really long time has been left-coded. The Lib Dems in by-elections, Corbynism, the Green Party in terms of winning those 4 constituencies with hyper-local campaigning. Here's the thing. It looks like Reform can now do the same. And what do you think of Farage as an individual? Do you think he's got what it takes to be PM?
Yeah, I think he has, but I think at the moment I prefer Keir Starmer. For all his ills at the moment, I think he's a strong person.
I think it's going to be Reform and the Greens.
You think, in this constituency?
Yeah. I think Labour's messed up by not selecting Burnham.
It is wet and wild here in Manchester. This is what it's all about, right? Look. A beautiful Manchester, in particular, beautiful Levenshulme. This is the part of the constituency which is presently leaning green, so I'm told. It is the more quote-unquote progressive part of the constituency, bit more trendy, bit younger, bit different. If Denton is a bit more reform-leaning, here is where the Greens and Labour are battling it out for votes. I have been invited to a children's birthday party here, believe it or not. And no, I'm not going to speak to any children, even though they might make a little bit more sense than I do. Most opinion polls have younger parents as the last remaining bastion of Labour votes. Labour often finish first, actually, among younger parents, because of things like the free childcare hours and whatnot. I'm here to ask some parents, do they still support Labour? Or are they more inclined to the Greens? Because if Labour are losing these people in this part of this constituency, they're in deep trouble.
Did you vote for Labour in the last general election?
Yes.
And what pushed you from one party to the other in the last, year and a half?
They don't have any position, you know. I think I voted them out of habit and because I still had, like I said, a semblance of loyalty towards them because I've always voted Labour. But I think under Keir Starmer, there's no direction. All of the campaign in Gorton Denton has been incredibly negative. It's all been about stopping Reform from getting in, nothing about what they would actually do. And I feel that nationally, that's the position that Labour takes as well. They don't seem to have any vision.
You used to be the advisor to Salford Mayor. It's fair to say you were a political activist. Yeah. That's less the case now, which in a way means you're more of an impartial character, which is why I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
What's your read on the by-election? What parties are going to perform well, where, and why?
So I think going into it, I think it really was a three-horse race was my reading of it. That said, I think the events of this last week with the Mandelson-Epstein saga, I think have really changed things. And for the first time now, I've really doubted whether or not the Labour Party are going to be able to retain their kind of position in the polls.
What he did in the Labour Party in terms of getting lots of people sort of more on the left side of the Labour Party out, what he did to Jeremy Corbyn, what he did to Andy Burnham, it just shows that he's not fighting for me. He's fighting for himself and fighting for an increasingly smaller group of people that a lot of people in Britain, whether they be like Green voters or Reform voters, no longer resonate with and haven't resonated with for a long time. And they clearly don't see that, and I don't think that they ever will. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks. I don't think they'll ever see it. I don't think there's anything that they can do. They've lost trust.
The reason that the Leader's office is clearly so scared about the Greens coming either second or beating Reform in this election is because they know that that really puts paid to this strategy of effective political blackmail, which is what the Labour Party's been offering the public in place of a serious policy agenda or any kind of political content for some time, really.
You used to be in the Labour Party, and now you're a Green voter or a Green member?
I'm a Green member and I will be a Green voter, yeah. And that's because, Labour, it's that thing of like, I didn't leave the Labour Party left me, essentially. I think that they've become the party of business as usual. They've just taken over from the Conservatives, and I think that people are looking for change. And in the end, if you think about what Reform and the Green Party are presenting, it is an opportunity for change. But in my opinion, the Greens are actually offering genuine positive change, and the Reform, I mean, look at them, they're half Tory now, they're Thatcherite, and they'll carry on the legacy of Labour and the Tories before them.
So this is a bit off-piste, but actually I just wanted to say there is rubbish everywhere, and it's something we've seen all day, which is open-air fly tipping, littering, and I'm not talking about one or two bits and bobs. I'm talking about plastic bags, sandwich containers, bottles, cans. And it's not a surprise, is it, that so many people are black-pilled about the future of this country when the public realm looks like utter crap. And it really underscores how dysfunctional politics now is. It's a visual representation of how Britain isn't working. And yet it's so easy to sort out. There's something to that.
I've honestly only met a tiny handful of people who said that they were tempted to vote Reform. People's frustration is kind of boiling over against Labour, essentially. So there's, and Reform are trying to tap into that. But also really spinning a narrative that is supposedly about defending the working class, but is actually rooted in a completely different sort of politics. And so as soon as we started having the conversation about, where Reform's money is coming from, and do you really think that people like Nigel Farage and Matt Goodwin represent people like this? People are like, no, absolutely not. So I think what the Green Party is able to offer is that alternative to Labour that people are crying out for here, and somebody like Hannah, local woman, self-made woman, a plumber by trade, somebody who really knows how to work with her hands, somebody who really knows what it's like to be working class in this city, and who's really going to represent the people here. So that's what people are looking for, and that's why people are responding so positively to the Greens.
So after a long, arduous and very wet day in Manchester, what am I thinking? What did I learn? A few things, a few really interesting things, which actually will matter both before and after this by-election result at the end of February. The first is the Greens wouldn't stand a chance without having Hannah Spencer as a candidate. She's a great candidate. They're going to need more candidates like her, more prominent public figures like her. Lots of people like the policies. They've got the members. They've got the resources. They now need to have a broader appeal in terms of who they are, what they stand for. She helps do that. Besides that, I'd say that I was struck by just how many canvassers there were for both the Greens and Reform. Even if Labour keep this seat, what really struck me was the fact that you've got three mass parties contesting this one constituency. What do I mean by mass party? Effectively, you've got three organisations that can get hundreds of people in a constituency on a Saturday when it's pissing down with rain to leaflet and to collect data and to make voter contacts. And on the day of the vote, they'll have hundreds of people getting out the vote. Now, sometimes you'll have one party doing that in a constituency, sometimes two. But here you're going to have three. And I think in that regard, it's a glimpse of the future. And the worrying thing if you're Labour or the Tories is that the two mass parties up and on the rise want to take you down. And I think the concern for anybody on the left is that Reform is one of those three mass parties, as well as having the support of millionaires, billionaires, as well as basically having the right-wing press seemingly turn towards you. That is an unprecedented challenge to people like myself, to people that like Novara media, to the Green Party, to the Labour Party, to the Tories too. It's a challenge to everyone in British politics. Stay with us, of course, that by-election at the end of February, very important, but stay with us too for May. I think we're about to see a political earthquake, and it might mean the end of the legacy party system as we know it.